In our daily spiritual quest, we often hear this proverb attributed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. A person naturally adopts the values and behaviors of his close companions. This timeless wisdom reminds us of a profound truth. We become like those we regularly associate with. Have you ever noticed how certain people around you have influenced your habits, your language, or even your aspirations? Today, let's explore together this essential dimension of our personal and spiritual development. I will present to you 10 personality types that, according to Islamic teachings, can compromise your spiritual well-being and your relationship with the divine. The most troubling thing? You could manifest some of these traits without even realizing it. 1. The self-centered person. We have all met them, those people whose mantra seems to be me first. Picture the scene. You come across an elderly person struggling with their shopping. Do you stop to help them, or do you continue on your way, preoccupied with your own concerns? Selfishness is not limited to material greed. It extends to our time, our attention, our compassion. A powerful hadith teaches us, none of you truly believes until he desires for his brother what he desires for himself. Our tradition recognizes that the tendency to favor our own interests is natural, but overcoming it is a crucial step toward spiritual excellence. The Prophet, peace be upon him, also declared, "He who sleeps well-fed while his neighbor suffers from hunger is not part of our community." This collective responsibility forms the very fabric of our faith. 2. The eternally dissatisfied. The second type is the one who constantly complains. You can recognize them easily. It is always too hot or too cold. Their work is invariably unbearable. The food never to their taste. This chronic dissatisfaction contaminates all aspects of life. Spouses complain about each other. Children criticize their parents' lack of understanding. Superiors and subordinates blame each other for their shortcomings. At the heart of this attitude lies a lack of gratitude. Islam places great value on contentment, as illustrated by this invocation of the Prophet. O Allah, I ask that you grant me satisfaction in the face of what you have decreed. This prayer embodies the serene acceptance of divine will. Perpetual complaining generates negativity that affects not only our own happiness, but also that of those around us. This can lead to melancholy, even to the weakening of our faith. This does not mean that we should silence all legitimate concerns. The essential question is my complaint aimed at solving a real problem, or is it just a habit of discontent? The proud consider this person who flaunts his achievements, disdains others, and rejects any differing opinion. Arrogance, severely condemned in our tradition, is often the source of many moral failings. Remember the story of Iblis. When Allah ordered the angels to prostrate themselves before Adam, all obeyed except him. His arrogant refusal, justified by his alleged superiority, created of fire rather than clay, illustrates how pride can lead to spiritual downfall. A striking hadith warns us, no one with an atom's weight of arrogance in his heart will enter paradise. But be careful not to confuse self-care with arrogance. When a companion worried about his taste for fine clothing, the Prophet replied, Allah is beautiful, and He loves beauty. Arrogance is not a question of appearance, but of inner attitude, rejecting the truth out of pride and despising others. It blinds us to our own imperfections, erodes our relationships, and, more seriously, deteriorates our bond with the Creator. 4. The hatred is a destructive force capable of tearing the social fabric. It arises when we nurture resentment and hostility towards others. Islamic tradition teaches us that if we do not control our first thoughts, we have a responsibility to choose the thoughts we entertain. The Qur'an wisely reminds us, let one people not make fun of another, for they may be better than them. Our faith affirms the fundamental equality of human beings, all descendants of Adam and Eve. The only recognized superiority is that of piety and good deeds. Islam strongly condemns hatred based on superficial differences such as ethnicity, nationality, or social status. However, it is legitimate to disapprove of reprehensible acts, just as a doctor hates the disease, not the patient. When we encounter toxic people, even in our family, our tradition guides us towards respectful boundaries and wisdom in our interactions. 5. The envious envy manifests itself as a twinge in the heart when faced with the success of others. Instead of rejoicing at a colleague's promotion or a neighbor's acquisition, you secretly wish you were in their place. The Prophet, peace be upon him, warns us, "Beware of envy, for it consumes good deeds as fire devours wood." This corrosive emotion not only destroys our inner peace, but also poisons our relationships. To counter envy, our tradition values contentment and gratitude. The Qur'an advises us, "Do not covet what Allah has granted to others in greater measure. Instead, ask Allah for His generosity." This verse invites us to focus on our own blessings rather than on what others possess. 6. The gossip peddler. In our hyper-connected world, gossip spreads at an alarming speed, destroying reputations and trust in its wake. The Qur'an warns us, "Do not follow that of which you have no knowledge. The ear, the eye, and the heart will all be questioned." The Prophet defined slander as mentioning about your brother what he would hate to hear, even if the information is true. If it is false, it becomes slander, even more reprehensible. When you find yourself involved in gossip, remember that nothing escapes Allah. Our tradition is clear: speak well of others or keep silent. When faced with gossip, the Qur'an recommends, when they hear idle talk, they turn away from it. If you have given in to backbiting, ask Allah and the people concerned for forgiveness. There are some exceptions, such as reporting a crime to prevent greater harm, but these are strictly limited. 7. The insensitive lack of empathy characterizes the hard-hearted individual, incapable of feeling the suffering of others. In our tradition, compassion is not simply encouraged, it is fundamental. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, perfectly embodied this quality, showing kindness to all friends and foes alike. As his followers, we are invited to cultivate this same frame of mind. An empathetic person listens attentively, respectfully accepts disagreements, and maintains harmonious relationships. Islam teaches us that gentleness can diffuse hostility where harshness fails. The practice of good deeds and adherence to righteous beliefs are intrinsically linked in our tradition. The Qur'an regularly refers to those who believe and perform virtuous works as exemplary. Sometimes what appears to be insensitivity can be a protective mechanism against manipulation. True compassion is accompanied by discernment. The manipulator. The deceiver uses dishonesty and manipulation to achieve his goals, often to the detriment of others. Imagine a colleague who takes credit for your work without acknowledging you, behavior that is the antithesis of the Islamic values of integrity. One day, the Prophet, peace be upon him, noticed a merchant who was concealing the damaged part of his merchandise. His reaction was unequivocal. "He who deceives us is not one of us." This statement underlines the gravity of deception in our tradition. A hadith warns us that every traitor will bear a banner revealing his treachery on the day of judgment. Duplicity can take many forms: academic cheating, fraudulent business transactions, or personal relationships based on lies. A true believer avoids all forms of deception, regardless of the apparent benefits, recognizing that such acts compromise spiritual integrity. Choose your companions wisely, for they shape your character and spiritual destiny. Surround yourself with people who elevate your awareness of the divine and inspire you to cultivate moral excellence. I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments and to subscribe for further explorations of our rich spiritual tradition. Until we meet again, may the peace and blessings of Allah be with you.